What's going on, guys? It's me, Saltier here, and today I just want to talk about something which really annoys me about O's. Or to be more specific, with its implementation of Taiko and the completely broken scoring system which comes with it. And yes, before you ask, of course I'm making this video because I'm salty, cause it actually screwed me over just recently. Specifically, it happened to me yesterday 3 times in a row, and the gameplay in the background is the one which was affected by it. Now, this is once again more so just going to be another rambly video where I talk about the issues I have with that system, but if you enjoy that type of video, please definitely let me know by smashing that like button and subscribe if you enjoy, and with that, let's get right into the video. Now, in my opinion, there are 2 main factors which are causing problems for the Taiko scoring system. But before we can get into those and what they are, we first need to take a look at how the Taiko PP system works. Now, in standard, even though your act can be complete trash, the combo is still going to give you most of the PP. Well, in Taiko it's more or less the exact opposite, because the only thing that matters is your accuracy. And of course misses, but they aren't really that important, which is why most Taiko players, myself included, have mostly A ranks in their top plays. Which now puts us back to scoring, because over there, combo is a factor. Now, the way score is calculated in Taiko is a bit more complicated than in standard, which is why I'm just going to show you the formula. But don't worry, for the purposes of this video, you really don't need to understand how it works exactly. It basically comes down to limiting how high your combo multiplier can increase your score, and honestly, it's already a massive improvement from just taking the standard scoring system and trying to implement that into Taiko, cause that would have turned out really bad. But either way, having a bigger combo is still going to mean that you're gonna have a higher score. And at least on paper, that decision also makes a ton of sense, because you obviously want to encourage your players to be more consistent. But remember how I said that combo doesn't affect your PP at all? Now, because combo doesn't affect your PP, but it does affect your score, and only your highest score gets PP, you can probably already guess where this one is going. Yeah, that's right, it actually makes it incredibly easy for you to lose some PP when playing Taiko. Now, the 1 or 2 standard players which still stuck around for some reason might say, of course it sucks, but you're only losing like 1 or 2 PP, why are you complaining? And well, if it only were 1 or 2 PP, I probably wouldn't make a whole video complaining about it. But this is Taiko. You can lose upwards of 20 to 30 PP. And because Peppy didn't already hate us enough, combo scoring isn't the only thing which can cause this. Now, anyone who has ever played Taiko before might know that there are some more elements than just regular circles, but because I said that only accuracy matters in Taiko, this means that they only affect your score, similar to spinners in standard. And whereas in standard, where it doesn't really matter because your combo score is going to be so big anyways that it's only really going to take effect if you're trying to get a first place on some easy map or something. Because of the way the Taiko score gets clamped down, you have a lot lower score anyways in Taiko, but that also means that the impact of things such as spinners or sliders or the big notes is way more exaggerated. Which can mean that even if your accuracy is better and your combo might be better as well, you could still only end up at 2nd place because you left out a few big notes. Now, if you play standard, you might be a bit confused right now, because if it's comparable to a spinner, then why wouldn't you just play it? It's not that hard. But you see, this is another area where Taiko decides to be a special case once again. Now, the spinners aren't really the issue here because they're basically just as easy as their standard equivalents, but when we take a look at the finishers and the sliders, that's where it's a completely different story. Because as it turns out, both of them are actually quite hard to play. It's a bit easier to explain with the sliders because they basically just come down to you having to hold the beat while playing them. This is already a bit trickier than it might sound, but the biggest problem comes from the fact that there's an incredibly high variance when playing sliders. Meanwhile, big notes, or how they're properly called, finishers, just give twice as much score as a normal note, provided you hit them with both fingers. Otherwise, you just get the normal amount of score. Now, from my experience, there are 2 different categories which finishers can fall into. The first group are basically just ones you can play easily without any issues, but the second group are the ones which are placed in a way that they make some patterns more difficult. Now, in my opinion, adding those extra elements makes a map a lot more interesting, a lot more engaging, and also a lot more skill expressive. But here's the issue, you don't lose anything if you don't play them. They don't count as misses, you don't lose any accuracy, and it doesn't affect your PP at all. The only thing not playing them does is not increase your score. Which, as stupid as it sounds, means that for 99% of players who are nowhere near the skill level of getting a first place on a global leaderboard, those elements actively punish you for playing them at all. It's better and more effective to just straight up ignore all of them because it gives you a more consistent score. And in my opinion, that's just shitty game design, because those mechanics are genuinely fun. But because we know that only the highest score counts towards your PP, it always feels like walking on eggshells if you try to play them. So for you as a player right now, there are only three options. Either you play all of them always, which can be quite difficult, or you play none of them, or you stop the second you miss. Personally, I'm taking the third option because it's already so ingrained in my muscle memory to just play them, but if I could, I would definitely do the second one simply because it's a lot easier. But sometimes you have to use them so you can carry a score which would have gotten screwed over by combo over the finish line, but overall it's just incredibly annoying to have to deal with this shit because I don't care about the leaderboards. I know I won't be on top anyways. And because none of us are absolute consistency gods, we can't just first try a map and instantly FC, meaning we have to mostly play a map multiple times, which can get really frustrating over time trying to remember which finishers you hit and which ones you didn't. And because only accuracy matters, you might still get a few misses here and there when you play a map again and again, but it doesn't really matter because, as I said, only accuracy is important and you could still see massive PP gains, but hey, you see your combo is a bit lower, so it's not going to surpass your last score, so instead you have to use those extra elements to try and push it over the edge. But now when you play it again, those elements have been used, so you should have to use them again. But most likely those were finishers which are in patterns, so they aren't that easy, so the next time you play it you might act choke on them, which means you have a higher score, but your accuracy is lower, which then in turn means if you submitted the score you would lose PP. So the fun experience this leads to is having to literally pause on the last node, open up a PP calculator and trying to find out if you would lose PP if you submit it. So now that you can hopefully understand why I'm completely fed up with this piece of shit system, let's talk about how we could actually fix it. For fuck's sake, it should be obvious what the solution is going to be. Like, it's not that hard, just literally always have the highest PP be the one that's submitted. And genuinely, this should be the standard for every single mode. Cause no one cares about the leaderboards, we are never going to end up on there anyways, so why do we have to deal with this shit? And for the couple of hundred people or so who actually care about the leaderboard, you could just as well add an option on your profile where you select what kind of score gets submitted. But with the way it stands now, it's just stupid that the vast majority of the player base still has to suffer because of its poor implementation. And before any of you say Scorby2 in the comments, let me quickly get to that. For one, it is unranked, like what am I supposed to do with this? And for the second one, while yeah, the combo scoring is mostly fixed, all the other elements are just worth more, so it really doesn't improve anything at all. But honestly, that's just my take. If you have a different opinion, please definitely let me know down in the comments below. And with this, we've reached the end of today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed, and if you did, please don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, see you next time. Bye.